Hello everybody, my name is Ruth. I just left Venus and I'm here to share the lessons that I've learned from inner space. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. Today I wanted to talk about your sun sign as well as your moon sign. Mainstream astrology really puts an emphasis on your sun sign, but as we all know, the universe is made up of more than just the sun and the moon. So too are we made up of different energies. But for this video, I'm going to be talking about what our sun sign teaches us as well as what our moon sign teaches us. And it might be helpful for those who don't feel a sort of kinship to their sun sign or don't feel connected to what the characteristics of their sun signs, because there's some explanations for that. So before I dive in, let's talk about duality briefly, because the sun and the moon are kind of opposites, and thinking about the roles that they play in our everyday life, like just as forces, will really help us develop an intuitive understanding of how the sun, or where the sun was at the time of our birth, as well as where the moon was at the time of our birth. As a human being on this earth, we came here to shine in our own special way. And the sun, where our sun lies, really tells us the area of life or what kind of energies that we can unlock in order to fulfill that mission of shining. The sun also represents our heart. The sun is who we are during the day. So it's not like a mask that we wear in order to like interact with different people at work or at the store, at the bank. It's more of our outward self, it's like deeper than personality, sort of our conscious identity. And think about the role that the sun plays in the proliferation of natural life. All plants need the sun to grow. Think of a plant, think of trees. They have one directive and one directive only. It's to grow towards the sun. Like if you tell a plant to do anything else but grow, they're going to look at you like you're weird, because that's literally the one job of a plant, is to grow towards the sun, also to provide oxygen, also to provide oxygen and all those other nice things that us humans need. But just think of, we're growing towards the sun, and so too do we as individuals grow towards our sun sign. So as a child, you may not have felt like you were your sun sign, and that's because we grow into this identity. Like a lot of us are not born with all the characteristics of our sun sign. Like that's what this journey called life is for, to grow into that identity, to fully embody what our sun sign is. The sun represents the heart. When you think about it, the sun is there every single day and shines regardless. It illuminates everything. It wants to be admired. You're warmed by the sun. The sun is always there, no matter whether or not you could see it or not. And moving into why you may not feel like your sun sign, think of like a cloudy day. You know that the sun is there. It's just the sunlight is a little weaker than it is normally. The clouds kind of block the light. And when your sun is afflicted, or in other words is having difficult conversations with other planets, that could also have an effect on how we express that sun energy. Also, where your sun is placed in your natal chart, so what house it's placed in, gives a lot of flavor to how the sun energy is expressed. So for example, a sun in the 5th house of play and pleasure is very different from a sun in the 8th house of secrets and the occult. I am a Leo sun. The sun is at home in Leo. The sun loves Leo. The sun and Leo share a lot of the same characteristics. But only recently that I've really identified with the qualities of Leo. I didn't really identify with the stereotypical aspects of Leo. So for example, there is this stereotype that Leos love drama. They always love to be the center of attention. Growing up, I didn't really like being the center of attention. I was always behind the scenes, like literally I would work behind the scenes of whatever play that my school was putting on. Like I was never the main character. Ooh, that's a good one. Main character. I did not embody that main character energy that so many Leos love. There's two sides to it. One, I was young and I was younger and I did not know myself and I was confused. Second, astrology can explain this. That's why I love astrology. You can find the answers there. But for me personally, in my natal chart, my sun is conjunct with Jupiter. So Jupiter is the biggest planet in the solar system. Jupiter, whatever Jupiter touches, it expands, for better or for worse. But Jupiter and the sun, Jupiter in Leo and the sun in Leo, that's generally a happy pair. So that's great, right? But I never felt this. And this is because those two planets are squaring my Pluto. What is squaring? They're having a difficult conversation, a tense conversation with Pluto. And Pluto is the planet of death and destruction and transformation and the underworld. So completely opposite from the sun, right? So I felt like I haven't been able to shine properly up until recently. And I think that Pluto, that constant pressure from Pluto, has forced me to continuously shed layers from my identities. Like my life, I'm going to be constantly dying and being born anew, and just a constant cycle. So it's not as straightforward as me just being a Leo sun. I'm so happy all the time and I love myself, everybody loves me. But yeah, that's why you have to look at the whole chart. The whole chart tells you a much bigger part of the story. So moving on to the discussion of the moon. So I said the sun is who we are during the day, how we are when we interact with people. But think about coming home from a long day of being out in the world and coming home. What do you need to feel safe? What do you need to feel to regain that kind of life force energy to make you feel like yourself? So the moon represents what do we need to feel centered and grounded. So if the sun was conscious, the moon is the unconscious part of us, you could probably say. Also think about the moon and its relationship to the tides of the ocean. It's an automatic motion, the tides coming into shore and back out of shore. It's like that constant movement. So too are we driven by those unconscious urges. So that's what the moon represents in our chart. So imagine that you're out in the world, away from the city, just in nature. You're in maybe like a deep wooded forest and it's completely dark, pitch black. But once you emerge out into a clearing where the branches kind of even out, or the trees and the shrubs are few enough so that you can see the night sky, and think about how you feel when you see the light of the moon. Sink into that feeling. That is the energy of the moon. The moon is what makes us feel safe and secure. And a lot of times the moon is described as this feminine, maternal energy. And you can interpret it as how your mother treated you, how you were mothered when you were young. Of course, I'm not just talking about like your biological mother. It could be another parent or a guardian who embodied that maternal energy. So it's not just confined to the mother. It's more of like the maternal energy, the mother archetype. So the moon represents what made us feel safe when we were babies, when we were kids, crying for somebody to come comfort us. For me personally, I am a Virgo moon, so I need a lot of order. I need to know how things work in order to feel safe. There's like a sense of control that I need at all times in order to feel centered and grounded. So that is what the moon represents. So thinking about the dynamic, the interplay between the sun and the moon. If you're born on a new moon, that means that your sun and your moon are in the same sign. So it's easy, there's sort of like an ease between the energies. So your identity, the way that you express yourself, is in line with what you need emotionally and what you need for security and safety. On the other hand, if you were born on a full moon, that means that your sun and your moon are on opposite sides. So for example, your sun could be in Scorpio while your moon could be in Taurus if you're born on a full moon. So there is a dissonance in the way that you express yourself as well as what you need. So people who have these kind of placements that have contrasting energies are really called to integrate those two energies, and it's a bit difficult and complicated, but once you understand your chart a little bit more, it makes life a lot easier. And I feel like knowing what your moon is, like knowing what you need, it tends to take away the shame that we attach to ourselves for whatever reason, our desires, our wants, our needs. So knowing what my moon sign is really empowering, and I hope that like you find it empowering as well. Having a sun in Leo and a moon in Virgo, two different elements, right? Leo is fire, Virgo is earth. Fire scorches the earth, but also in order to make fire, you need earth. So yeah, fire needs earth if it doesn't burn the earth. But I find that having the balance of those two elements really does ground me. Like from an outward level, I am the sun, literally, but I need to kind of burrow in my little cave in order to regenerate and to recharge so that I could shine brightly again. So I implore you to look at your own chart and see where you see what the dynamics are, because it's really interesting. It's really fun to find patterns. If your sun sign is in one sign, let's call it your Pisces sun, you might find that you attract or are attracted to, not just in a romantic sense, but in a platonic sense or like a familial sense, to Pisces moons. And vice versa. If you're a Pisces moon, you're attracted to a Pisces sun. And I see that with my parents as well. My dad is a Capricorn sun and a Scorpio moon. My mom is a Scorpio sun, and I think that she is also a Capricorn moon. We don't have an accurate time of birth, but think about that dynamic. What my father needs in his Scorpio moon is how my mom expresses her energy naturally, vice versa. What my mom needs emotionally is how my dad expresses. So it's really interesting to see how those two energies play out together. And that's not to say that you should seek out people and you're in the same signs, because that would make life really boring. As you can see, your natal chart goes way beyond your sun sign, and if you don't feel like your sun sign, that is perfectly understandable, because there's so many things that go into it. But also give grace to yourself and be a little bit curious and leave room for surprises, because you're called to grow into that sign as you get older. So like 10, 20, 30 years from now, it might be easier for you to express that energy. It might become second nature versus when you were a kid or an adolescent. And same with your moon sign. And I think, yeah, your moon sign is what we don't see, what you don't show the world necessarily, depending on where it's placed in your chart. So balancing the energy of the sun and the moon is really crucial for how we navigate life and respond to life's problems, and how we manage our emotions and our energy. So I hope that you enjoyed your talk today. I'd love to know what your sun sign is, whether you feel like your sun sign, whether you resonate more with your moon sign. Is there like an internal conflict happening? But yeah, thank you so much for watching and for listening, and I will talk to you soon. Right, bye.